and the one I went to is called the Bai Sa Tun Ma Zu Rao Jing. And it's a bit different than the Da Jia Ma Zu Rao Jing, which goes to Xingang. The Bai Sa Tun goes from Miaoli to Beigang.
Okay.
And back.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that they change the route as they go. So there's no set route. At intersections, they let the God choose.
Hello everyone, Amadeus here, and today I have a special guest who come from sunny California to even sunnier Chiayi. First time he came to Taiwan 12 years ago, and he's been here 7.5 years. And he's enjoying his life a lot, and he kind of live like gods here. So do you know what I'm talking about? It doesn't matter, you're gonna find out now. So let's say hello to Reed.
Hello! Hi everyone, my name's Reed. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and so what brings you to Taiwan? First time, what was
the first time, to be honest, I just wanted to travel. My friend introduced me to an opportunity to teach summer camp in Taiwan for a summer. And so I took that opportunity, flew over, had a time of my life.
Really?
I mean, that's a long story short, yes.
So how was the first impression of Taiwan?
Well, obviously everything was new. It was my first time in Asia. I felt like even the air was different, the smells and everything. Particularly, I remember the first day I had arrived, I was walking by this market, a local market, and I thought, wow, it's beautiful, it's clean, and it's bustling, so many people, but it really smells awful.
No.
And I couldn't figure it out. Second day, same deal. I thought maybe it was just one day, and I was like, it doesn't make sense. It's a market with all the food and everything, it's clean, but it smells really awful.
Okay.
It was the third day that I figured out, okay, now I know what Taiwanese stinky tofu is.
Oh, that's the secret, how to keep things smelly. That's so funny.
To be honest now though, that smell has changed for me. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoy eating it, yes.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting dish. Like, I think it's a must try, definitely. I want to know if there is something that happened between your first visit in Taiwan and the time you decided to come here for longer.
Well, so technically I came twice. So I came in 2009 and 2010, both for the same summer camp.
Okay.
But I moved here in 2014.
Okay.
There was a time, a formulative moment. A big formulative moment was that first time I came. And it was, I went to a temple. I was going to a lot of temples with my homestay family because they were trying to introduce the local culture, folk culture, and Taoism and Buddhism and these things. But I went to Nangkunsen, which is in Tainan, this temple, and they were having a large celebration, and there were tons of dangi, which are the guys who flagellate with the shark-toothed swords and these nail balls and things, and I had never seen anything like that before. And I was absolutely enamored. I was so fascinated by it. I wanted to know everything about it.
This is like a circus mixed with kung fu movies.
It was
like,
just,
it's so crazy.
Well, also just the power that they exuded, because they really do like enter this trance where they show no sign of fear or pain or anything.
Wow.
And they just the power behind the way they walk and everything. Yeah, I was like, oh, I need to know about this.
Yeah.
Growing up in a small Christian family in an agricultural town, this was like the most farthest out there experience I had seen so far. And so it actually changed my life. When I went back to the US, I was still in university. I studied religious studies. Before I was studying biopsychology, and after I realized I wanted to live in Taiwan and I saw those things, I changed my major to double major in psychology and religious studies with an emphasis in East Asian tradition. And what was funny is that when I went back to university, my first professor back, after I'd been in Taiwan, I took Taoism, a class on Taoism. And my professor was this older gentleman, and he was talking to us, and he's going around the class, and he's like, tell me what you did this summer. And I said, oh, I was in Taiwan. He said, see me after class. I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble on my first day? I'm in trouble on my first day? Oh no. Oh my God. And so I went up to him after class. I said, oh, hi, I'm the guy you said to see. And he's like, oh yeah, you're the one in Taiwan, right? Where were you? Taipei? And I go, oh no, actually I was in Chiayi. He goes, no way, I used to live in Chiayi. And so my professor had lived in Chiayi 40 years ago.
No way.
Yeah. We got along very well after that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I learned a lot from him.
When I was in my high school, I mean, I was in mostly interested in science, right? But in a free time, I like to read books about religions and what people do in different countries. And still, like in Europe, you have this like beautiful, like mystical idea about China and all these Chinese religions, you know? Actually, first I went to Macau and Hong Kong, and then I went to China. And I'm looking for this, you know, all this, you know, Taoism and like, you know, and I talk to the local people and they start a conversation, you know, this is all like useless and it's not interesting and it's only for artists, you know? Like, what do you mean? So you don't use those like calligraphy things anymore? And like, yeah, this is for artists, waste of time, don't use it, you know? So like the first time I saw someone like connected to any religion was like in a countryside in Guangxi. And I realized, oh, so I guess it's all dead, right? It doesn't exist anymore. And then I come to Taiwan and boom, it's alive, you know? It's like, you know, full power running.
Oh
shit,
yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, with all these pole dancers and gods all together, it's real.
There's a lot to see. There's a lot to see,
so.
Definitely. So many interesting festivals and ceremonies and practices, rituals, all that. Yeah, it's very much alive.
I've seen you've been to this Mazu pilgrimage, right?
Yes, yeah. So there are two big pilgrimages in Taiwan. And the one I went to is called the Baisatun Mazu Raojing. And it's a bit different than the Dajia Mazu Raojing, which goes to Xingang. The Baisatun goes from Miaoli to Beigang.
Okay.
And back.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that they change the route as they go. So there's no set route. At intersections, they let the god choose.
All right.
So they'll just sit there and you don't know which direction they're gonna go, and then it just takes off.
But do they wait for the green light?
Yes, they do. They do wait for the green light. They do.
Just check.
We did that for a TV show called Bao Dao Sen Hen Da. We did that this year, and we walked the portion from Beigang to Miaoli, the return portion.
Okay.
And what was special this year is that it was so short. We had 36 hours.
Oh, they're all in time-wise.
In time, yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, because every year you have a different set amount of time as well on how long it needs to return. Sometimes the pilgrimage can last 12 days, sometimes it can last 8 days. It's just different.
It's also like determined by, I don't know, fortune tellers?
Yeah, it's often determined by, those kinds of ritual practices.
All right, so they come up with the number, okay, today we have to make it in 12 hours, end of the story, guys, you know, take some Red Bull and don't stop, you know.
Yeah, so we had 36 to go about 200 kilometers.
That's not too much break on. So when you have this trip like last time, you say 36 hours, 200 kilometers. So you don't stop, so you have to eat on the way, right?
Well, so technically, Mazu will take little breaks. Now, because we had such a short time, like the longest break she took was only 3 hours. So in that time, people can sleep a little bit, eat. But she does kind of like give her followers a chance to rest at certain points. But as you're walking on the trail, or walking along, there are people everywhere handing out drinks, coffees, food of all kinds, vegetarian
it's like
and
a moving night market.
Pretty much, except for you're walking by the night market and they're just getting in front of you.
So you move through them. Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they're handing it out. I think the most memorable was probably this sausage truck.
Sausage truck.
Yeah, it was a truck driving with all the people, and they had like 5 guys on the back with these big barbecues, and they were handing out sausages. That was pretty amazing.
Kind of like reminds me like a Tour de France, you know, when there's the cyclists.
Yes, as they go to
the whole support team with the extra bicycles and the water.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that. It was very, very similar to that.
So in this case, so you have 36 hours, 200 kilometers to cover. And so it's pretty fast, and it happens in the summer, right? In this case, will you lose the weight or you're gonna gain the weight?
I lost weight, definitely.
You did?
Yeah.
So you see you have a cure here.
Yeah, I mean, like, you walk so far, it doesn't really matter how many things you grab on the side. I mean, that's a lot of walking.
Wow. So I would like to talk about your job. So
sure.
Can you explain what you do in Taiwan? Like, because it's so interesting to me.
Sure. Where to begin? I currently do mostly digital marketing, trying to help local businesses kind of get their marketing more up to date using social media, PPC ads, things like this, and mostly to present their stories.
Like actually Taiwanese parents, they really care about the kids' education, so they very often send them abroad, and the kids come back with the new knowledge, you know, and like, no, we have to like remodel the business now.
Yeah.
And they tell like, but it's so against the Confucianism again, you know? Because like, okay, but the elder generation, they have like priority and it's really, I think it's kind of a struggle sometimes.
It's definitely a struggle. I mean, if you've seen so for example, the Netflix episode, so the main character is Grace from Lin Congming's 사고유토, and I've been working with them since that episode, since we shot. And what's funny is she talks about that struggle. Yeah. Where when she was taking over the business, you know, she even had to fight to get like a dishwasher. They were paying like 7 people to wash dishes, but the parents didn't want to buy the machine. So what she would do is she would wait till her parents left the country to go on vacation, and then she'd change a bunch of things. So when they came back, they had to accept it. But I think one of the most important things as well is like, and this is what I try to help with as well with when I'm working with a client, is that I want to preserve the traditional aspect of the business as well. You don't want to just fully transform everything. It's almost more like, you know, helping them tell their story in a kind of appealing way, more than changing what they do.
So you were like introducing street food and generally food in Taiwan to the Netflix show. So I want to know, what do you think is like very popular food, still good, and what is overlooked?
Sure. Well, in Chiayi, obviously, everyone knows Hojiro Fan, or turkey rice.
So good.
Amazing, right?
I think it's so simple.
It's so good, yeah. And there are over 300 different turkey rice restaurants in Chiayi. So the options are endless. And what kind of taste preferences you have.
But it's so simple and so good. It's just
amazing. So obviously, I would recommend everyone to go there, try that. I think that try a few, because you know they're all different. They're all built a little different. I think, of course, you know, the 사고유토 is worth having, definitely. Lin Congming, not just because I've worked with it, but because it's a 3rd generation shop with wonderful food. It's well priced, you know, it's really nice. But I think like, again, also the goat stew. I think the goat stew in Minxiong, it's like one of the only places in the world that has this kind of process to make it. And it's from the Sui dynasty. So it's like over 1,000-year-old recipe that was originally meant for emperors. It takes 3 days, 3 nights to prepare. I think that's incredible.
I think so. You can feel like a king now, like emperor.
Definitely, absolutely. You know, one of the things that I'd always wanted to include it, and unfortunately wasn't, was also the Zolzu, the indigenous people of Alisan. Their food there, I love the barbecue. I love the different foods that they make there. I think something that's kind of overlooked, especially by foreign travelers, would be the Dongsi-cang, and it's called the East City Market in Chiayi. And there's so many little stands in there that have been there for 2, 3, 4 generations. Wow. It's quite famous. I think a lot of Taiwanese will know this place. It's Niuzatang inside the market. It's been there since 1920. So 101 years. That's been a while, yeah. And it's the 4th generation, is fantastic. Right next to them are a bunch of little stands like that, 3rd generation stands that are worth checking out. From Chunjuan to Roujuan to Mikao, whatever. There's all these different little foods. I think that's a place that sometimes is. Oh yeah, definitely lots of history. It's really great. You know the stereotype, right? The north is salty and the south is sweet. Chiayi's right in the middle. Perfect. Wow.
There are still like other activities you can do in Chiayi, right?
Of course.
What do you recommend to do apart from eating, and after eating, trying food and experimenting with the like tastes?
Of course, it really depends on what you're into. I'm very much into the history, especially over the last few years, because Chiayi is one of the oldest settlements in Taiwan, right? You know, there's Tainan as well, and Chiayi. So, like it was inhabited by the Dutch, and like it has a lot of historical things there. It was one of the main cities for the Japanese occupational period or colonial period, for Alisan, for the wood, right? The hinoki. Right, so big business. I mean, the first power plant in Taiwan was in Chiayi because of that industry, and they did a lot with irrigation for farming and all these things. So there's a lot of historical sites there which are worth checking out. The old distillery. There's a beautiful new museum in the city. There's a lot of things related to the wood industry, but that's all Chiayi City. When you go out to Chiayi County, there's so much to do, and I'm not talking just Alisan. Right? Everyone can go to Alisan, everyone. But there's a lot of places not outside of the park that you can go. You can go up Meisan and do the 36 turns to Taiping, which is like, there's a suspension bridge. I think it's the tallest and longest suspension bridge in Taiwan. It's beautiful. Sights are gorgeous. You can go to waterfalls and go hiking and go to these little bulo, like the little villages there, and there's a lot to experience. And then if you go out on the plains, you can go to Dongshi and Budai and Lucao and all these little towns that they just have a really nice feeling to them. It depends. If you love Taiwanese culture, right, there's a lot to see and do there. Xingang, for example, as well, another very famous place for religious culture, for Minsu Wenhua, for Mazu in particular. So, you can go there and see the temples, and there's just a lot to do. Historically, now as far as food, history, culture, right, those are covered, but nightlife, don't come to Chiayi. Oh, night markets are fine, but I mean, if you're into clubbing or something like that, that's not your place.
Thank you very much for the
course.
interview. That was
Absolutely.
lovely.
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
I feel like I'm going with you to Chiayi.
You must, please. Come. I would love to show you around.
Okay.
You'll definitely gain a few kilos.
That's okay. It's okay.
I don't look like this for nothing.
Everybody tell me I need to eat more. It never happens.
Oh, well, I can help out with that. No worries.